Welcome back to another episode of the Ben and Bergs podcast. I'm Ben, your favorite high school dropout and founder of Collective Shift. Alongside me is Bergs, your favorite MBA and COO of Collective Shift. We're here to bring you world-class crypto research, strategies, and insights to help you crush this crypto bull market, plus get an exclusive behind-the-scenes look as we scale Australia's leading crypto research company. And we are back, Bergs. We took a couple week hiatus. I've been traveling. I've been busy. We've both been busy. We had our biggest month ever in May. Mate, it's been absolutely hectic. So sorry, folks, for a little bit of a delay, but we're back better than ever. How are you, Bergs?
Going well, mate. I've recovered. Was a bit crook there for a while. Kept working. Biggest month. It's interesting where our biggest month was last November when we broke 100K, had the summit and everything. And now we've eclipsed that. It is absolutely incredible, mate. So we've been hard at work servicing all the new customers.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work. It's been so much fun. And like you said, finally, Bitcoin hit all-time highs when we were at the summit last year, when we did our first summit, and then pretty much it was around all-time highs this year when we did the summit. But the big difference is altcoins, are still playing catch-up. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that and why that's happening. We're going to go into the market. We're going to talk about a couple of different metrics I want you guys to be tracking, just to give you a bit of an insight as to what's happening, why altcoins are lagging a little bit, and why there's still a lot of momentum in the market and a lot more to come, because it's been there's lot's been happening, Bergs. We hit all-time highs not that long ago. It was pretty much, where were we? If we look at our chart here, where we time of recording about 106,000, but it was only, a couple of weeks ago where we hit all-time highs at about 111,000.
Yeah, 23rd of May. So,
crazy.
Yeah, 11
Absolutely
days.
Crazy. The market's been pumping, but, it's been interesting because, a lot of the indicators and trackers that we look at for tops of bull markets, are not signaling yet. A lot of the altcoins are still down. And I think a lot of people are sort of wondering what's going on. And, one of the most important things, I guess, is like, if you look at the performance of Bitcoin against the altcoin market, and a simple chart you can look at on TradingView is if you just overlay the Bitcoin chart versus the others, within the others is basically the altcoin market cap outside of the top 10, there's about a 40% performance gap over the last couple of months, which is pretty crazy. So why this is happening is we're still seeing so much momentum flow into Bitcoin. We're seeing the M2 money supply really start to grow. There's a lot of momentum in the Bitcoin market, but a lot of the altcoins are really struggling because there's simply so much more in the ecosystem, so much more supply of altcoins than we've ever seen before. And it's something you and I have spoken about a lot. There's literally millions and millions and millions more coins than ever before, and you have to be very, very selective on the altcoins you have. And we've been pretty good this cycle in terms of our selective plays. The top ones which we've spoken about here, and obviously in our platinum group and our membership, is Sui, Solana, Syrup, and Hype, all way outperforming the majority of the others' market cap. You have to be so much more selective this cycle than ever before. And I think if you're still sitting on a bunch of altcoins, you're most likely still down across the board. So it's been a fascinating cycle, Bergs, but the momentum is certainly here, right? So we've got the M2 money supply really growing. Trump last week or 2 weeks ago now passed this bill that kind of went through pretty quietly. It's called the One Big Beautiful Bill. And basically, if it gets passed through the Senate, it's going to inject trillions of dollars into the US economy over the next 10 years and really drive M2 money supply far higher than it already is, which is huge fuel for Bitcoin. We're also seeing the banks like JP Morgan's, Citadel, Bank of America, Wells Fargo also talking about joining to create a joint stable coin, potentially, hopefully built on ETH. And we're starting to really see more and more businesses accumulate more and more Bitcoin. So we saw Trump's media group bought another couple of billion the other day. We're obviously seeing MicroStrategy continue to buy heaps. I think I saw them. They're in the S&P. It was S&P 500 or something. Bergs, did you see that?
Yeah, bro. They're gonna scoop up all that capital, mate. Like
Crazy.
It's incredible. He just keeps executing. Absolutely insane. I love to see it. Companies are now getting his playbook. I think his job now is to basically go to other companies and teach them how to do what he does. And every other week we see new companies coming online, having a Bitcoin treasury and making that a core part of their business, and they're succeeding. It's incredible.
Crazy. So we're seeing more and more, companies continue to, build their balance sheets of Bitcoin, and everyone's sort of talking Bitcoin. But yeah, altcoins are really lagging. And I think this has been really a part of the strategy that we've continued to push for all of our platinum members and also here on the podcast is you need to have a large percentage of your portfolio in Bitcoin. And if you're not, you're underperforming. And we're starting to see, why that has been so important. And the correlation as well between the crypto market and the stock market is super correlated. So a lot of people have been asking, right, Ben, like, can Bitcoin and crypto continue to go up while if the stock market, goes down? And I think the reality is, if we look both in 2017 and 2021, Bitcoin peaked just around the similar time to the S&P 500. And what we're starting to see, I think, is a separation between altcoins and Bitcoin. They're really starting to see in two different buckets. And even if we have a bigger, more bearish dip in the stock market or the macro financial sector, I do believe that Bitcoin is going to hold up really well. The fact that Bitcoin only corrected around 30%, 33% in the previous correction versus previous cycles where Bitcoin's gone down 50, 55, 60% is a true indication that Bitcoin's strength continues to hold up. And that's why I think, we're going to see Bitcoin far higher later this year. And over the next 5-10 years, Bitcoin is honestly, in my opinion, going to be in the hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million in the next 10, 15 years. Altcoins, on the other hand, we don't know what's going to happen after this cycle. If you look back in the previous bull markets, the top 10 on the altcoin market caps are completely different every cycle. And that's why you've got to play the short term.
Yeah, they're basically dinosaur coins now, like the ones from the last cycle.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
And people will be thinking, well, shit, if Bitcoin's the thing, why don't I just hold Bitcoin? And Bitcoin's already out there on the risk curve in terms of things you could invest in this world. And you're getting around like 30 to 40% compound annual growth rate. But the thing is, that should form a big chunk of your portfolio. But there are altcoins out there and they are absolute bloody moonshots. Like, you can go from anywhere from a 5x to 100x relatively quickly. And if you structure your portfolio correctly and you only have a small percentage allocated to it, and you have a research team narrowing that down for you so you have a higher chance of success, absolutely take that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing that really compounds really grows your wealth very, very quickly. And then you can rotate it into whatever you need, whether it's your fiat currency to buy things in the real world or back into Bitcoin or into a stable coin.
Yeah. And you've got to be actively managing. I had a social media follower message me the other day talking about a coin I'd spoken about in the past and wondering where the update on it was. And I explained to him that it was about a year ago when I told our members that I sold that coin because the market moved. And he was sort of, asking, well, how is that, how is that fair? That he didn't see that. And my point back to him was, well, the reality is the market moves faster than any other market in finance. And you can't just buy something and then just forget about it and hope it's going to go up. Things change. And it is this sector that I invested in was a gaming project. It was Ronin, actually. And I sold it about a year ago because the market changed. The market moved and I explained my situation. I got that one wrong. And I moved on, right? So I took my 20, 30% loss and moved on. And I was able to find the likes of Hype, for example, that's really completely outperformed the market. And this is my explanation to him, was that just by following people online, you're only hearing small bits here and there. You're not actually keeping up with the live tracking of portfolios. If you're busy, you miss something. And also, you're not going to see everything on social media. The reason people put things out is to help people, invest in the market. But the market moves so fast. If you're time poor, you can't just have one side of this, not even that. You can't just listen to 5% of the book and know what the book's about. You've got to follow the whole journey across. And that's one major benefit of working with us, is you get to see all of our buys, sells, and transparency, wins, losses, whatever, because no one's going to get it 100% right. And I definitely don't. But the ones I do get right way outperform the market. And that's why we've done so well.
Definitely. And people need to understand that this investing game is very different. It's not like the stock market where you do your research, you buy something, you check in every now and then. This is you buy something and then you'll start to hear whispers like in different, Discords, forums, on Twitter about narrative shifting or something happening in that project. There's a lot of little things, and these just like little ripples in a pond that can turn into big things. And our team looks at those and they're like, okay, we've seen this before, or we know this is going to turn into a big thing. The narrative has shifted. This guy's dodgy, whatever it may be. It is so crazy to try and stay on top of this yourself, because things move so fast, narratives shift quickly. You've got a bunch of very rich ADHD internet people investing in these things that it's so difficult. It's very different to the stock market. It doesn't close. It's global. It's 24/7. And these are the things you need to know when you come into this investing space.
And you've got to make the call, Bergs. When you've made an investment that isn't playing out the way you'd hoped, and the market has changed, there's more competition, maybe that narrative is not running as hot as what you would have hoped, you've got to make the call. And that is one major lesson that we've learned as full-time investors in this space. You've got to cut your losses. And, I took a 35% haircut on Ronin, rotated the majority of that into hype. And we look at hype, and hype's up 184% in the last 2 months. So this is this whole idea about just seeing one side of the story or one piece of content. You've got to follow the whole journey the way through. Crypto is continuously changing. It's liquidity. It's not static. It's not do this course and then you win. It's an ongoing, update.
Oh yeah, it's very dynamic. And we've got to think about these projects where, if you think about investing in the stock market, if one of your companies goes into voluntary administration, there's a very low chance they're going to come out of that and be a strong company. They'll probably close, they'll get acquired, cents on the dollar. That is like a narrative change in a crypto company. Like, you could have the best product be amazing and the narrative shifts. No one cares about what you're doing. They're not going to use your project, or there's a small little hack, or something happens with a contract, or you find out that, one of the guys is on weird drugs or something like that. Like, this is literally how crazy the space is, because it's just people on the internet in this global 24/7 market. And you need to be absolutely on it, or have some people to be on it for you.
Yeah, bang on. And that's the whole premise of what we do, right? We invest full time, and we just share everything we do, so you don't have to do all the work yourself. You can fast track that and follow us. And I think the most exciting thing, Bergs, is like, even when we hit all-time highs, a couple of weeks ago, it didn't feel like a top, and it wasn't like previous tops. We saw no real hype, no real euphoria. Funding rates in terms of leverage were still quite low. No one was really using excess leverage. Fear and greed was just flashing extreme greed. It wasn't kind of in the crazy territory. But then no one was talking about crypto. Uber drivers weren't, social feeds, group chats. Like, none of that was happening. Even Google search volume for Bitcoin was still near the bottom. Like, the social sentiment and the biggest indicators that we track are nowhere near the top. And I think the most important thing here that I think we've got to remember, that so many people don't buy, like retail, right? Do not buy Bitcoin. They buy altcoins. And if they bought altcoins back in November, they are still down on those. Most people are down on their altcoins. And when they're down, they're disinterested. Maybe they sell, they get fearful, they don't want to buy back in. But that is the opportunity. Because what's going to happen once Bitcoin really rallies and we start to see Bitcoin hit the 120, 130, 140, and people start to go, shit, this thing's not dead, and they see their altcoins coming back, then the spot demand's going to come back. Then the FOMO is going to hit, and then we're going to have that altcoin season. So you've just got to be patient and know that that's the opportunity.
Exactly right. And my portfolio didn't hit an all-time high. It did in, I think it was November, December. But even with this, with Bitcoin, it didn't hit an all-time high. That's for a couple of reasons. I do hold a lot of Bitcoin in my portfolio as a percentage. And I think that's also because the US dollar has gone down quite a bit, because it's down like 155. It was like 167.
Yeah.
So that's a big multiplier, and it hit all-time high in US dollar terms. So a lot of people won't be at that euphoric stage because they haven't hit that all-time high in their portfolios. That was a few months back.
Yeah, bang on. And why I still think, and I mentioned this at the start, why I'm still so excited, not only do you have those social sentiment metrics, but the biggest one around global liquidity is still growing. And one of the charts, if you just look at the M2 money supply, it's one of the most actionable macro signals I've seen this cycle, where if you look at the leading indicator of M2 money supply, it is literally tracking it basically by 11 weeks. And the alignment is pretty crazy. And you never put all your eggs in one basket. And, this is always previous data, so you never know exactly, right? But looking at the tailwinds of global liquidity still resuming, we're going in an uptrend, altcoins are still sort of compressed, all the retail really aren't here, there's no real spot demand. I believe that is the opportunity and the asymmetric upside, that when we start to see Bitcoin really follow through and we start to see those retail metrics come back and Bitcoin continues to grind towards 120, 130, 140, I'm still very confident by the end of this year, we're going to start to see some really exciting price action.
Oh, mate, people have no idea what's coming. Like we talk about God candles and Omega candles. So God candles is a 10K move in one day. We've had that plenty of times in Bitcoin. That could be 10K up, 10K down. Omega candle is going to be like a 100K move in a day. Either way, right? It could go down 100K, could go up 100K. People are not ready for that shit. And if you think about it, when Bitcoin approaches 500,000, that's 20%. When it approaches a million, that's only a 10% move. Like you're going to be, if you hold one coin, you're going to be up 100K in a day. Like these are just unprecedented things. And this is what we're trending towards. Even Bitcoin like overtook Amazon, right? Like in market cap, which is a hilarious comparison, but we're still a 10X away from gold.
Yeah. And imagine that, right?
We are going to eclipse gold.
Bitcoin at the gold market cap, right, is essentially like a 10X. So let's say that's about essentially a 1 million USD Bitcoin, right? And you have a 10% move. We're moving 100,000 USD at a time.
Yes. And you think about that. And if you know this thing is going to 10X, might be 2 years, might be 5 years, might be 10 years. Shit, you better be on that train.
And this is where people get caught up splitting hairs between buying in at 97, 95, 84, 103.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. 100%.
You are not going to notice at all. I was the same with like smaller coins. Just get on the rocket ship. You don't care about your fucking seat on the rocket ship. Just get on the fucking rocket ship. You're sitting at the front, great. You're sitting at the back, fucking great. You're on the ship. Just get on the fucking ship.
Doesn't matter if you're business, economy, whatever. Just get on the fucking ship.
100%. You don't want to be on the bloody tarmac when this rocket ship takes off.
Yeah. And also that goes to all of you guys and listeners that are holding shit coins. That, to be fair and clear, that is not a ticket on the rocket ship. A lot of these, altcoins are selling fake marketing for you to go to the moon. They're not going anywhere. They're going to blow a fucking engine before even taking off, and you're going to be still sat on Earth while everyone else on the rocket ship. So make sure you have your portfolio allocation right.
So this is it. Let's just say there's 1,000 spots on the rocket ship. If you own Bitcoin, you've got one of those spots. If you've got only altcoins, you've got a lottery ticket and there's 2 spots left, and there's about 50 million people behind you, and 2 of you are going to get on that rocket ship.
Correct. Now, if you join Collective Shift, you have a better chance of that lottery ticket because we're going to try and give you those insights. But if you're on your own, go to the news agents and buy a ticket because that's the only way.
That's it. If you're joining Collective Shift, we're going to get you to hold some Bitcoin anyway, so you will be on that rocket ship. You'll be able to celebrate with us and reorganize your alts into things that have a much higher chance of success.
Bang on. With that being said, there is a bit of a wait list at the moment for Platinum because it's been in such high demand. But if you do not want to round trip this cycle, you genuinely want to build your wealth and you have zero time, Collective Shift Platinum is the best place for you to get those elite level access, personalized strategy, research, support from Bergs, myself, the team, who just don't want you to round trip again.
Yeah. And this is legit. Like Ben showed me his calendar and it's just back-to-back one-on-ones from now until infinity.
Completely fake. So we offered a bonus for those of you that joined the summit. Obviously, we offered that bonus, and then we were not expecting the demand, and I think we had. I actually I don't even know how many people we've had sign up at this point. And I remember the team going, Ben, wait, you have to do all the one-on-ones. How are you going to do that? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't think about that. I didn't think we were going to get that many.
Hang on. First of all, we did tell you we're like the 2 weeks after the summit. Make sure you allocate some time, take it off. If things go really well. And you're like, yeah, no worries, mate. And he plans like all this like education and business stuff, flying to Malaysia to like learn all this stuff. I'm like, bro, you made your own bed, mate. You were too successful with the summit.
Classic Ben move. Anyway, so if you have more than $250,000 in crypto, or you have a large portfolio wanting to build it there, maybe you've round tripped, or you don't want to round trip and you just want to fast track that. You're time poor with your business, your career, your family, whatever, and you're just literally trying to chase some wealth and freedom and not just the overnight returns. Collective Shift Platinum is for you. You can join up. You get a one-on-one session with either myself or one of our experts, with our analysts. You get all the monthly calls, the private WhatsApp community, all my buys and sells in the WhatsApp, your own dedicated account manager, research, full access to our research platform, everything. There is a bit of a wait list, and we do have an application process. So if you are interested, just click the link in the description below, collectiveshift.io/platinum, and we'll see if it's a good fit.
Yeah, and we do have our in-person event at the end of July, which is going to be epic in Melbourne. So if you've been thinking about becoming a Platinum member, jump on a call, talk to DT or talk to Ben, see if it's right for you, and get in for that event because it's going to be cracking.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. So end of July is the full day annual Platinum Strategy Day where all the team comes in. We've got guest speakers. We do drinks. I think there's already 50, 55 Platinum members registered for that. It's going to be absolutely epic. It's going to be so much fun. And also we have a money back guarantee because we truly believe this product is great. And if you jump in and you go, Ben and Bergs are just taking the piss, absolutely 100% give you money back.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think that's ever been used, which is, pretty crazy to think.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe once. Wasn't for them because again, this is for that person was actually a full-time trader, and we're not.
Yeah, they're a massive degen, right?
Yeah, we're not for trade like full-time. We're not for traders anyway. We're really for those busy people that want to build a long-term portfolio. So jump over, check it out. We also have our pro membership as well for those that aren't at that level, but super excited to help you out. We're just beginning. The rest of this year is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So jump on board.
Awesome, mate. Great episode.
Thanks, folks. If you like the episode, we'd love for you to share around with a friend or family member that's also in crypto. It's how we grow the podcast each and every week. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, champions.